Hello friends, welcome back. In the last video, we have seen the theoretical stuff about the pod, how it works. Pod is the smallest deployment unit, and we can execute the application inside the pod. Okay, there are containers inside the pod, and then we have seen the theoretical parts like how it works, how many containers are there into the pod, how many basically containers we can reside inside the pod, right? And then there is a like one container, one pod. Okay, so that also we have seen in the last video. Okay, and then basically every pod has a unique IP address. Okay, so the theoretical information we have seen. Now let's talk about the little bit on the practical side. So let's go into the one machine. I have created the Ubuntu machine. Okay, and on this machine I have Docker already installed. Okay, and the Minikube. So Minikube is for the basically Kubernetes cluster. It is a very small Kubernetes cluster, one node Kubernetes cluster where we can play around with these different kind of objects and then create the structure. So I have created one small file. Okay, uh, I hope you are able to understand the current screen. So here one simple pod YAML file which I have created. Okay, now let's understand this YAML file and then create the pod out of that. The first line inside this file is API version and it is a V1. So what is the meaning of that? So the meaning of this first line is the first version, the version of the API is the V1. Okay, we have seen in the last videos that there is a API server which is used to communicate between the different components of the EKS of the Kubernetes cluster. So the API version which I'm using in this file is the V1. There are other versions as well. Okay, V1 beta. Okay, and then rest of like other versions as well. Okay, so basically because of this version, API server understands that okay, this specific syntax is from the version 1, and then we have to follow certain syntax and the certain structure out of that. The second line shows that it's a kind. So kind is nothing but the object. Which kind of object we are creating out of this file? So we are creating the pod object out of this file. Okay. Third line, it's a metadata. Metadata is what? It is a data about the data. Okay. Now inside the metadata, we have the name of the basically pod which is going to be created. Okay. So nginx is the pod. Okay. And the name of the pod is the nginx. Okay. Other part is specification. So specification stands for the different kind of attributes and the parameters which we are going to pass when we create this pod. So so inside the spec there are containers. Okay, the name of the container, the image which we are going to pull, and the version of that image, and the port on which the specific image is going to run as a part of the pod. So container port here it is given as a 80. Okay, and the image which we are going to use it is a nginx image, and the version is the 1.14.2. Okay, and then the container which we are going to use inside this pod is the nginx container. Okay, so it's a pretty simple pod which we are going to create. Okay, and once we execute this YAML file, it will be created. So let me quickly again explain. First line is API version. Okay, it is the version of the uh, basically API which is being used inside this file. Okay, and the API server understands the syntax of this version. Kind is nothing but the object which we are going to use or which we are going to create as a part of this file. Okay, so object which is going to be created as a part of this file, and the object name is pod. Metadata is nothing but the data about the data. Okay, and inside that metadata we have the name of the pod which is going to be created. Then spec stands for the specification. Okay, and then inside the specification we have a containers, name, images, ports, and the container port. Okay, so let's uh, go out of this file and then run the command apply. Okay, so minikube kubectl, then hyphen apply, -f stands for the file name, and then simple pod.yaml file. Okay, so this is the entire command which we are going to run to create the pod. out of that. Okay. Now minikube is the first like it's a main command line. Okay, because we are using minikube based cluster. Okay, so let's run this, and if you see the output, the pod nginx is created. Okay, now if I run the command get pods, okay, now if I run this command kubectl --- get pods, then I can see here nginx pod is running since last 14 seconds in the default namespace. Okay, let me highlight this. Okay, and then it is in a running state. Okay, now if I describe this pod, then let's see what is the output. Okay, so now instead of get, you can type here describe pod. Name of the pod is nginx. Okay, and then you can run this command. Now if you analyze this output, it is a very big output, and there are lots of information as a part of the description. Okay, you can go ahead and see what are the different kind of parameters, different configuration items are there inside this pod. So whatever information which we have provided inside the YAML file, all this information is part of the description. So if you see here image, right? You remember in the pod.yaml file we have created this nginx image and the version we have given, right? Now the port we have given is the 80, right? So that is also mentioned here. Now this pod has a specific IP address. If you see here 10.2.10.2444.0.6. So that is the IP address got created. Okay, and then at the end there are certain events got created which says that successfully assign the nginx to minikube and then container image uh, present on this machine, already present on this machine, created the container and we started the container. Okay, so this container is created inside this pod and the pod is up and running since last few seconds. So this is how we can create the YAML file. We can put all the information inside that YAML file, like which whatever pod we want to create, and we can provide the container image, port, all the specifications, items, and all that, and then we can create the pod. Now this YAML file is not only restricted to this YAML file. Okay, so you can have many other parameters apart from this configuration item, right? So there are many more complex like a configuration you can use as a part of this YAML file and then create the pod out of that. Okay, but in this case, like in this video, I just wanted to like show you how you can create the pod using this YAML file and what are the like specific description, like line by line description of the YAML file. I just wanted to show you. So this is how we can create the pod out of this YAML file and then uh, like get the pod in the running state. I hope you like this video. Uh, please please have a look and then like basically if you have any kind of like comments and all that, please keep me posted. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you.